Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance's Advisor Monthly Meetup, planning for 2022. My name is Christine Beck, and I'm the Organizational Director for the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance, or the Alliance for short. Today is Monday, December 27th, 2021, and the Alliance is proud to be an initiative of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities. Whether it's your first time here or your 21st time, we would love to share a little bit about the Alliance with you. So we are a network of advocates and self-advocacy groups around Illinois. And the image on the screen is about 20 people. Some are standing, some are sitting. They're all smiling and holding certificates in their hands. And this image represents one of the graduating classes of the Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program. The Alliance's vision is for self-advocates to work together to get the support we need and to live the life we want in the community. Our mission is to speak up for ourselves and each other while working together to make changes in our communities and in Illinois. Our focus is on empowering people to speak up and speak out about what they want and need, what they don't want and don't need, to action plan their goals, and to participate in advocacy at the personal, agency, community, and statewide levels. And so how do we do this? A couple different ways. We support local member group chapters. And whether you're part of a member group chapter or not, we all work together on important issues that impact the lives of self-advocates. We offer networking, advocacy, and learning opportunities. You can find them in our monthly newsletters. We also offer a variety of webinars and presentations. We have our Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program, as well as our Alliance Training Institute. And the image on the screen is a person with short brown hair and pink skin, wearing glasses and smiling. The person is holding some white papers and is wearing a dark blue striped shirt and black pants. The Alliance is a resource, and that's one of the most exciting things that we do. We do a lot of different resources and provide a lot of different resources. So whether you are a self-advocate, an ally, an advisor, a family member, a professional, or you identify as a lot of these, the Alliance is a resource for you. So we have a website, and we will share that website address at the end of our time together. On our website, you can find issues of our monthly newsletter going back to January 2016 through our current month of December 2021. We also have more than 60 recorded webinars on a variety of topics, including a Women's History Month celebration, being the leader of your healthcare team, the history of the disability rights movement, and I Can Be Safe Online. And the image in the upper right-hand corner of the screen is two people. One is standing, one is sitting. The person that's standing has pink skin and long blonde hair, wearing a black top and gray skirt. The person who is sitting is a chair user. That person has pink skin, short brown hair, a blue top, and white pants. More of what we do as a resource. We have resources around the Sex Education Act that happened in Illinois. It started out as House Bill 3299, and it wound up as Public Act 101-0506. We also have resources related to COVID-19, legislative advocacy, of course, self-advocacy, and resources for advisors to help support you in supporting self-advocates and self-advocacy groups. The image on the screen is of three people. They are sitting behind a table, and the person in the middle with brown skin and short black hair, wearing a black and white striped shirt, black pants, and a dark pink tie. That person was presenting at a round table that was done all around, taken to different locations in Illinois. And that person was presenting with the then director of the Division of Developmental Disabilities. So this image really represents nothing about us without us. Again, as a resource, the Alliance has a Facebook page, so you can find us and like us. Again, we'll share that link with you at the end. We have daily posts about local, state, and national learning and advocacy opportunities. And we also have an email listserv where you can sign up to receive near daily posts about local, state, national learning and advocacy opportunities right to your inbox. So I mentioned that the Alliance is a network of self-advocates and self-advocacy groups, and we are thrilled to have 41 member groups from the top of the state to the bottom. You don't have to go far to find a member group or a self-advocate speaking up and speaking out. From McHenry to Zion to Dixon, Chicago and the surrounding area is well represented with member groups in Alsip, Aurora, Brookfield, Burbank, the city of Chicago, Chicago Heights, Elgin, Evanston, Hanover Park, Homewood, Mount Prospect, Rolling Meadows, and Westmont. In the central part of the state, we have member group chapters in Rock Island, Galesburg, Pontiac, Peoria, Tremont, Bloomington, Beardstown, Jacksonville, Decatur, and Monticello. And in the southern part of Illinois, we have member group chapters in Alton, Edwardsville, Waterloo, Mattoon, Charleston, and Paris. If you want to learn more about our member group chapters, you can email us and we'll share that information on how you can connect with us at the end. So as we think about moving forward into 2022, one of the things we'd like to share with you today is a resource you can use to help check the temperature of your advocacy efforts at your agency or organization. Perhaps it's at your school or in your community. So this environmental checklist was actually developed back in 2007 with an initiative called Illinois Voices. And many agencies and organizations in Illinois use that checklist over the years. Well, we have the checklist and we updated it a bit to reflect current promising practice. And we call it now the Culture of Self-Advocacy and Environmental Checklist. And this is just a low-tech way, again, to take the temperature to see how are we doing with self-advocacy at our agency or school or community. So we're going to take a walk through this resource and look at the different sections and then how you may use this resource to check out. Are you okay? Are there things you want to change? Let's learn. So the first area is learning opportunities. And in this area, we want folks to think through and kind of rate what's happening regarding learning opportunities. Is it never happening? Is it happening sometimes? Is it happening always? And some of the individual items include, do people have an opportunity to learn self-advocacy skills? You know, self-advocacy is not something that maybe we're all born with. I think it's a learned skill. We have a wonderful colleague who says you got to use your muscles. You got to learn how or learn where your self-advocacy muscles are. You got to strengthen them. You got to keep them active and limber. So do people have an opportunity to learn self-advocacy skills? Also, do people have an opportunity to learn healthy relationship skills? So important. The next, do people have an opportunity to learn about their rights regarding the services or supports they receive? The next, people have an opportunity to learn about and prepare for their person-centered planning or individual educational plan process. It is hard for us to speak up and speak out during these important planning times if we don't have an opportunity to prepare what's going to happen during those meetings. Also, do people have an opportunity to learn about the rights and responsibilities as citizens? We want people to get out and be part of their community and be part of the country and their state. And do they understand about their rights? And not only their rights, but the responsibilities that come along with them. And then finally, in this area, do people have an opportunity to learn about legislative advocacy? That doesn't mean that they are involved. It just means, do they have an opportunity to watch a webinar, do some classroom learning, check out a resource, ask questions, get answers? So this first section is all about learning opportunities. Let's go to the next section. And with each of these sections, people will check off never, sometimes, or always. So the next section is empowerment at agencies, organizations, and schools. So these questions include, people can be on, or can people be on committees, work groups, and or boards? How involved are self-advocates in the life of the agency or organization at schools? As the project director of the Alliance, Tara Ahern, says, people need to have a seat at the table, and not only a seat at the table, a voice at the table where their feedback is heard and taken into consideration, and they are part of the change that is happening. The second, people can be in a self-advocacy group. The next one, people are regularly asked if they are happy with services and supports they receive. And I know many agencies, organizations, and schools do an annual satisfaction survey. And yeah, people can say never, sometimes, always, but do people understand what they're answering? And do we ask it at different times, right? I mean, today I might be happy with services, tomorrow not so much. So we need to be open to the opportunity for to ask people a little bit more regularly than just one time a year, and to receive that information. The next, people are asked and heard when rules, policies, and procedures are made or changed that everyone must follow. I know this happens a lot in workspaces and places where a new rule or regulation comes down and you just have to follow it. And there's not a lot of feedback about that. Well, if it impacts all of us, we should have the opportunity to be able to give some feedback or to learn more about it or ask questions and get answers in a way that we can understand. And the final one in this empowerment at agencies, organizations, and schools area is the materials such as forms, policies, procedures, newsletters, brochures, all that paperwork is that paperwork available in formats that people can understand? And I would guess that a lot of paperwork is not made available in formats that people can easily understand. All right, so let's go to the next section. So this is the third of 4 sections in the Culture of Self-Advocacy and Environmental Checklist. This is where we ask people to think about support staff and answer never, sometimes, or always. So the first is people can help find new staff to hire. Are they going to job fairs? Maybe there's not so many job fairs going on right now because of COVID, but back in the day, I remember there would be job fairs and there would be agencies that had tables or booths there talking about, this is what this job is like, or working for this agency. And chances are there were probably human resources staff there and maybe not people receiving services or self-advocates. What a wonderful opportunity for, a person to help find new staff. The next one, people can help interview potential staff. I think that sends a very strong message to potential staff that you don't work for the supervisor or for the human resources department. You actually work for that self-advocate. You will be supporting them. The next, people can help decide if the staff are doing a good job. That means, are people being asked to give input into a staff's evaluation? The next, staff receive training on how to support people in having more power, voice, and choice in their lives. And this is maybe beyond some very basic self-advocacy, having self-advocates come in and help train staff. Here's how you can support people in having more power or voice and choice. And the last in this area, staff evaluations include how well they support people and having more power, voice, and choice in their lives. I know a lot of times staff evaluations are, are they doing well with passing medications or activities of daily living or, cleaning and documentation. And these things are important. And what's really important too, as equally as important, if not more important, are how do they support people in having more power, voice, and choice in their lives? And the final section, the fourth of 4 sections, is supporting personal power. So in this section, we're looking at how do we help support personal power? Again, allowing people the opportunity to choose never, sometimes, or always. So the first is people are encouraged to speak up and speak out about the things that are important to them. Again, maybe it's not just an annual time to do it, but are we having ongoing conversations with folks? Can people present or co-present trainings and presentations? Again, how empowering for someone to be able to train staff or speak to the board of directors or, do those kinds of things. People can learn about the community in which they live and work. I can't be part of my community if I don't know what's out there and I don't have any support in learning. People are encouraged to speak up and speak out to make changes in their communities, state, or country. That's part of that legislative advocacy, which goes along with the next one. People receive support in engaging in legislative advocacy. Sometimes people need support in filling out witness slips or contacting their elected officials. Perhaps they need support in reading a ballot or preparing for an election, getting to the polls, those kinds of things. So are people receiving support? And then lastly, in this area, people can choose their providers, which includes doctors, dentists, support staff, community day service provider, and etc. Are people allowed and given the opportunity to explore and choose their providers like you or I are able to do that? All right, so those are the 4 sections of the culture of self-advocacy and environmental checklist. So some people say, why should we do this, Christine? So here are just a couple of the benefits of completing this environmental checklist as you plan for 2022. The first is using the checklist helps determine how strong self-advocacy efforts and the equalization of self-advocate power are at a disability service agency or at a school. If you are part of a school and you're thinking of using this in that setting. So it kind of, again, you take the temperature. What does self-advocates think is going on in this agency? It's different from their perspective. We all have our own lived experience. And while I can think it's going on, if a self-advocate doesn't think it's going on, then it ain't going on. The second is to identify any areas of opportunity. So where people are putting a lot of nevers or sometimes, maybe that's an opportunity to put some things into place, or perhaps people just aren't aware that that is an option. Sometimes we don't know that things are actually happening, right? So there is a learning opportunity. And the last benefit is to develop a plan to make changes, not made changes, leading to improvement. We don't want to stay in the same place. We want to improve with providing opportunities and helping equalize power. So that's the benefit. So other people will say, so how do we do this? How do we make this happen? Well, we're going to walk you through it. So equipment and materials needed to complete the checklist. Well, the first is space to meet. So you might do this at the very first self-advocacy group meeting of the year, or maybe you call a special meeting together to do this. So making sure you have space to meet and people are comfortable. Maybe not all 30 of the people in the meeting, but maybe a smaller handful, maybe 6 to 10 people is a great amount. You need the environmental checklist, one for each person. You need a pen or a pencil so that people can be making their check marks or X's or smiley faces or whatever they're going to put in those boxes. We also recommend have some large Post-it paper, or maybe you have a whiteboard to write on. We'll show you how that comes into play, and markers. All right, so here we go. So here are the steps. So you've gathered everybody has their environmental checklist, and I encourage you, if you are facilitating this, be familiar with the environmental checklist. Read through it, think through it, kind of form in your mind if you would have to kind of re-explain or reword some of those areas. How would you do that? So step one, tell participants that there are no right or wrong answers for the checklist. If you think it's never, it's never. If you think it's sometimes, it's sometimes. If you think it's always, it's always. And again, the never comes with a red frowny face. The sometimes is a yellow face that is neither smiling or frowning. And the always is a green face with a smile. So again, whatever people put is what they put. The next is getting people involved. So asking participants to read out loud the individual focus items one at a time. So maybe you have some people who are leaders and they want to read, and have them start that out. And maybe you have other people who aren't as good readers, but they want to help. Support them in reading things out loud. After you read each of them out loud, ask participants how they would rank the item. Is it never? Is it sometimes? Or is it always? Just taking time for people to kind of think through and process before they make that check mark or smiley face or X mark or however they do it. Now, after all items are reviewed and checked, as a group, go back through and identify the items that were checked as never or sometimes. So just say, wow, we have a lot of nevers for this one, or sometimes for that one. And for each of those never items, and you might have a couple, and you would want to pick the ones that people are most strongly identifying with. You want to brainstorm ideas to turn it from a never to a sometimes or an always, and asking people for those ideas on that post-it paper. And maybe you have some people who are good writers, and they can be the ones who are putting that down on the post-it paper or using the whiteboard. And even if people aren't good writers, we know how to support people, don't we? And that is part of the empowerment process. And as a group, select one or two never items for which to develop an action plan and turn it into a sometimes. You can get that, please, or an always, and use those brainstormed ideas to bring about that change. So I'm going to show you on the next slide an action plan that includes the what, who, when, and notes to keep focused and moving forward. All right, so this is a sample of an action plan, and this you could use to make the change. The goal could be to make some of the materials easier to understand. So maybe the plan is to go through the resources or materials that self-advocates get, have them pick out one or two that they would like changed into easier to understand format and go from there. So there you go. And if you are at any time during this process, if you are hitting an obstacle, we don't want you to stay at that obstacle. We want to support you in working through it. So you just have to let us know. All right, looking forward, here's some really cool things that you can do. Share the results of the environmental checklist and the action plan with agency management and the board of directors. And I don't mean you as the advisor or ally sharing it. I mean some of the self-advocates who worked on this to share the information with your support. Again, there are times when one part of an agency doesn't know what's happening in another part of the agency. And so empowering self-advocates to present that information to management and the board of directors is so awesome. Another thing is the culture of self-advocacy and environmental checklists can be compared from year to year. So are we making any progress? Do we have the same amount of nevers and sometimes? Are our nevers moving to sometimes and are sometimes moving to always? Or are our always sliding back? The other thing is save those brainstormed ideas to help start conversations as needed. Sometimes things won't add or be added to an action plan, and that's okay. But save those brainstormed ideas. You never know what's going to happen or when one of those ideas sparks some energy in moving forward. So at this time, we don't have many participants today, but I encourage you, if you have questions, comments, or considerations as you have experienced this for advisors only planning for 2022, I encourage you to reach out to us at the Alliance. We want to support you, and supporting you help support your self-advocates and your self-advocacy groups. So let me share the contact information. Our email is info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. If you want to visit our website, it's selfadvocacyalliance.org. Lots of resources on there. So we really encourage you to check that out. And then if you are a social media user through Facebook, find us and like us by going to Facebook and looking for Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. The image in the upper right-hand corner of the screen is a person with short brown hair and pink skin. The person is raising the right arm upwards in a fist. Person is wearing a purple shirt with white lettering that says, "Ask me about the Alliance." And a quick story to share with you. When I wear my Alliance shirt out, I usually get asked by the person behind me, what exactly is the Alliance? And that starts a wonderful conversation about self-advocates and speaking up and speaking out. Again, thank you so much for your time and your energy today as you joined us for Advisors Only. Whether you need support with the culture of self-advocacy and environmental checklist or something else on your self-advocacy advisor journey, please let us know. We are here to support you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.